The following presentation will explore the relationship between whether athletes can benefit from a gluten-free diet or not. As the internet evolves and information is shared among billions of people around the world, more of us are becoming aware of the products we're consuming, the foods we're eating, and what's contained in them. We want to know more than ever why we're feeling bad, and we are looking for answers to feel better. Among many trends in the health world is the gluten-free diet. Gluten is a protein found in wheat products and gives food its texture. Gluten itself is not a carbohydrate, but just a part of foods that have carbohydrates in them. Gluten is a well-established trigger for celiac disease, which is an autoimmune disorder that affects the small intestine. What about those who try this diet, feel great afterwards, but don't have celiac disease? Many go and get tested, feeling they have a connection, but the test come back negative. At this point, the doctor will fall back on gluten intolerance, also known as non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which isn't celiac disease, but a sensitivity that causes distress to the intestinal tract and has many negative symptoms, including fatigue, nausea, migraines, and more. Celiac disease, it occurs in about 1% of the population, while insensitivity occurs in 10% of the population, although this is a new diagnosis and somewhat understudied. If 1% of people have celiac disease and 10% people have intolerance, then why are more than 40% of athletes typically on a gluten-free diet? Many athletes read up on magazines, go online, hear from their fellow athletes and coaches, and might think that a gluten-free diet will improve their athletic performance. Though study after study says that gluten itself does not affect performance or athletic abilities, but rather will just cause negative symptoms to the user if they have an intolerance or sensitivity, affecting their performance in that way. The best way to figure out whether or not you are gluten-free is to first go talk to your doctor, and if there's no suffering with the removal of gluten and you feel fine either way, there's no need to go on a gluten-free diet. Gluten is found in products that are very nutritionally beneficial for us. There's many essential minerals and nutrients that can be missed out if someone isn't getting them in the foods that they can get. In a 2015 questionnaire based on endurance athletes going on a gluten-free diet, 80% of the athletes who followed a gluten-free diet reported improved gastrointestinal symptoms, indicating a positive result from eating a gluten-free diet. Many say they're bloated, have stomach cramps, and general fatigue, which can really put a damper and affect your ability during sports. In this study, 80% of the participants were endurance athletes. Something to know about endurance athletes and gastrointestinal problems is that 90% of them experience it. And this has to do with a combination of reduction of blood flow to the GI tract during these events and consumption of very high carbohydrate sports drinks. All of that can cause distress in the GI tract, and certain foods can trigger these symptoms. Other symptoms can go beyond just fatigue and stomach issues. One can experience skin issues and exasperation of other autoimmune conditions, joint pain, and, as mentioned before, migraines and headaches. So there are a lot of things that people experience every single day that might link back to one single food. It might be gluten, it might be another. Gluten-free has become synonymous with a fad, and there is thus criticism and skepticism on its effects and appeal. Like I said before, a doctor should be consulted, and preferably a nutritionist or dietitian as well, to address any gastrointestinal issues that you might have. There's a lot of information on the internet, and it can be tempting to self-diagnose, but one must take it with a grain of salt and talk to a professional first. Carbs are essential for athletes, so one might wonder, how do I get these carbs without gluten? Well, there are lots of resources online, and this is a great thing to use that internet for, is finding food replacements, looking at different articles, and really just trying it out yourself. Some foods that are high in carbs that don't include gluten include bananas, sweet potatoes, dry dates, fresh figs, and raisins. Others are rice and quinoa, which quinoa is a complete protein, and rice and beans can easily be one too. And these can provide us with all the nutrients and minerals that we need. I personally have had issues with gluten, and I believe I did as a young child, but as I've gotten tested, I came back negative for celiac, but I've been hospitalized on several occasions due to long-term consumption of glutinous products. So there is a long journey ahead with that, but many people are going through pain and they don't need to. And there's a lot out there to help us understand what we're eating and what we can do differently. So should an athlete go on a gluten-free diet? That depends if they have an intolerance and if they have an issue with it. If they don't, there's no need to. It doesn't affect your abilities any other than that. Thank you so much.